This is Deep Blue, where we get the true life stories of BYU athletes, coaches, and fans. Here's your host, Jarom Jordan.
For the first time in the history of the Deep Blue podcast, I welcome back to the program repeat guests who I didn't have enough time with, so I brought them back. We're going to have more conversation. It's part 2 with Mark and Leanne Pope. Guys, what's up?
Not much. We were just long-winded.
Part 2.
They wouldn't shut up.
It was awesome last time, honestly. I think I've said that with Greg. I've said that with maybe even Blaine Fowler. Like, I got to do a part 2. There's just so many stories. So let's go. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off last time. You guys have met. You're going to Indianapolis. You're courting. You end up getting married. Then what? Because you're still in the NBA, right?
It was a miracle that this woman agreed to marry me. I kid you not. We've been married for a little over 20 years, and I still am like, it just does. There's some things in life that don't make sense.
You are a great recruiter.
Don't make sense.
A fantastic recruiter.
Yes, you are. Dipped into the transfer portal. In this case, it was out of high school, but yeah. All 4 years.
All 4 years.
Yeah, all of your life. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got married, and then I moved to Indianapolis. And I think we hit on that before, that I kind of took over Dave's philanthropic portion of his world. And
David Letterman.
Yep, David Letterman. And his mother was, a local celebrity at the time, and I kind of oversaw the needs of her in the community. And Mark was playing for the Pacers, and our life got really interesting really fast within that first 6 months. We were hired, fired. We were with the NBA, we were with the Pacers, and Mark always says fired.
This is the worst deal ever, because Leanne, she's like, I met this guy in Indianapolis. He's an NBA basketball player. And then we got married, and a month later, he was unemployed. Like, the story changes so fast. It was just like...
It's fantastic.
Wait, were you already with the Pacers, then you go to Indianapolis?
Yes.
So that just worked out that you were with the Pacers?
This is the beginning of my 3rd year with the Pacers.
Yeah. So we dated lockout year. 98 was the lockout year.
What a convenient time.
Yes. Mark learned how to play the guitar. Yep. He had time to actually
play the guitar.
Yes, and that's how I won her over.
Nice.
He did. He wrote me a song.
Was it your
for Christmas?
Hair?
No, my hair was actually stellar at the time. My hair was fantastic. It was longer than it is now.
You had a flat top.
I did.
You had the Chris Mullen flat top.
Oh yeah, that was.
You guys had the same barber.
Super sexy too.
At the time, hot. Hansel's so hot right now. Yeah. So wait, if you're with a different NBA team, because this lines up where you can go to Indianapolis.
Right. No, that was the whole deal.
That was the only reason we met.
Do you remember?
The first time.
I don't remember.
Yes.
Did we hit on this? Yes.
You're going.
Our first date was me going to start this project for Dave.
But I wonder, what if you're playing for the Magic? How does that change things?
Well, the beauty of what I was doing, I could do from anywhere, which was part of the package.
Awesome.
I obviously couldn't oversee Dorothy's local celebrity, whatever. But
you weren't working in Orlando. The first time we met was you were working.
That is true. That is true.
That was my shot. You got one shot,
one opportunity,
shot, baby.
But it was set up when I left New York that no matter where we were, I could continue this work.
So what would have happened?
Mark gets fired by Larry Bird, which is the moment.
Oh, it's brutal.
What was that like?
Have you ever been fired?
I've not been fired.
I have.
I probably will one day.
Many, many times.
Most people say released, let go. Mark's like, fired.
No, you fired. You say
fired.
Yeah.
He fired me. He's like, we're done with you. It was actually super awful. So we're the last couple of days of training camp, and this is when you kind of whittle down the team to the very end, and we finished our morning workout, and we had just moved into Conseco Fieldhouse, which was literally across the street. We had our dream scenario, in Indianapolis, because we lived in the harness
I know what you're
factory
about
lofts.
to say.
Literally out our window, one way, we were staring right across the street at Conseco Fieldhouse, the brand new arena and practice facility. I didn't even need a car, just lived right around. And then right to the other side of us was Nordstrom's. It was like the union of the things
he did his work, I did mine.
He and she valued most in this world.
What a situation.
Oh.
And then you're released by Larry.
Then Coach Bird calls me into the office after, just this little office, just to join in the locker room, and he goes in and he says, hey, you're fired. And
he does not say you're fired.
And I literally on the spot start crying, like literally tears streaming on my face. And I'm like, I can't cry in front of Larry Bird. And so I shook his hand, and I loved him. He was so great to me for 2.5 years, and I love him so much. He's a lifetime hero. And so I kind of like shake his hand really quick and then just race out the door. The problem is I race out the door, and there's Reggie Miller and Mark Jackson standing in the locker room. I got tears streaming out of my face. I'm like, could this get any more humiliating?
Remember what he said to you? He said this will be the best thing for your career.
Yeah, and I was like, whatever.
Larry said that to you?
Yeah, he said he's actually, you need this. He's like, you need this. And
that's quite the statement from someone firing someone.
Oh, it's classic, right? This is the best thing for you. This is more.
And the truth is, it was hard for him, Larry Bird, too. They had a very sweet relationship.
Why was it hard for him?
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's hard.
You got along well?
Yes.
Yeah, he had been really, really good to me. He'd been really good to me. And then, but he said that, and then sure enough, we went and we're over. We played in the G League or the what was it, the CBA at the time for a couple months.
That
and
was
went and finished the season overseas, and then came back in the next year. I was actually starting for the Milwaukee Bucks when Indiana came to town and we beat them. And it was a year later through a ton of like distress and frustration and worry. And then I was like, oh, yep, coach is actually way smarter than I am for sure.
Yeah. To get you on a team that would
just like for your career, you just need a change of venue. You need to move on to your second team. You need to have a chance to reestablish yourself and who you are. And he was right.
So we went to the CBA in La Crosse, Wisconsin, got a phone call one morning. We had to decide by 2 o'clock if we were taking a job in Istanbul, Turkey. And we were like, yeah, let's go. Let's go, baby.
No kids at this point?
No children.
We could write stories just on our 2 months in the CBA.
Oh, my gosh.
CBA, minor leagues. It's just the minor leagues. It's minor league baseball, but worse, okay? It's just like it is the – so they put us up in this retirement home.
So it is a retirement home, Jarom.
It's like
there are elderly people
and me and Leanne.
Yes.
Just like all just rooms.
In La Crosse?
Yes.
In La Crosse.
Yes. You're in an apartment.
You're going a year ago. I'm in the Eastern Conference Finals or something with the Pacers, and now I'm in the retirement home.
I'm not saying that. Leanne is saying that. She's like, a year ago you were at the Eastern Conference Finals. And now, so we get there the first day, and we're like, this is just super unique. Leanne's such a gamer. And she makes everything incredible. So she makes it just so fun. But there's a lot of stress, too. We get a phone call like 10 o'clock at night. We don't really have any there's no furniture in this apartment that they've put us in. And so all of a sudden,
we don't have a bed.
We get a phone call.
And you're 6'10".
Yeah.
You need like a long bed.
We get a phone call. It's the general manager, female general manager. And she is like, hey, I got some furniture for you. And so she's like, I'm here. So I go to the door and there's no other door. She's like, no, I'm at the back door. There's a back sliding glass door. She's backed her truck up and she and her son are offloading a mattress into our house. And I'm like, this is not the big time.
Larry, you were wrong. Yeah. That's crazy. And then, so then you go to Turkey.
Yeah, we had Thanksgiving in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and we celebrated Christmas in Istanbul, Turkey. And it was awesome. It really was wonderful.
Were there other Americans there you hanging out with? Are you hanging out with your team?
Jerome and Aida Allen were the other Americans on the team. I think at that point they still had the rule that you can only have 2 Americans on a team.
Many foreign leagues still do this.
Yeah. So Jerome and Aida were over there. Aida was there part-time. She'd come over for weeks at a time. So we were the only Americans. And it was a really wonderful way to start our marriage. It was before FaceTime. We had this dial-up deal to try to call my mom.
Nobody remembers dial-up internet, but it took like an hour just to.
But yeah, at the time, we thought it was such a miracle,
and it didn't work. And so like we were in total isolation, which was perfect. It was actually magic.
And our Mark traveled a lot, and the particular team he was on, they had to stay in the hotel the night before even home games, so he was away a lot. And that little branch, we had a little branch in Istanbul, Turkey, with three couple missionaries and a few Turkish members that were actually members of the church, but their families actually didn't know, like their Turkish families. They were kind of on the DL.
Oh wow!
Because of
they're keeping it secret.
Yes, yeah. And sometimes we'd have 10 people at church, and sometimes there'd be a cruise ship docked, and we'd have 50 in this apartment. But there was something that was a really tender time for me.
Yeah. And
personally,
these missionary couples were spectacular.
They're in
Istanbul teaching English. They can't proselyte. They're teaching in the military school, teaching English.
This is early 2000s?
Yeah, it's 1999.
Yeah.
Yeah. It turned to, we celebrated 2000 there. We'd have sacrament meeting, and then we'd have release society and priest, and then we'd have lunch. So we were 2 hours church way before it was a thing.
And it was literally like Lee would stand up and lead the music, and then I would say the prayer, and then she would give a talk.
There was
and
one
then she would
Sunday
lead the closing music.
where I led the music, stepped over, said the prayer, stepped back over, did the sacrament hymn. The sacrament was administered. Then I stood up, I spoke, stuck to the left, the closing song. I mean, because I was the chorus.
You were the Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Yes. Swiss Army knife.
That's amazing.
It was awesome.
Which is crazy. Great. And like, you know, you didn't go on a mission, but that was like a taste of that's like, where there were times where I was like, we are literally out here by ourselves.
Yes.
And we got to be this massive beacon and leadership and organization with these people, and you can affect real change.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to feel super lonely.
Yeah.
So how did you kind of deal with that? Because you have each other, you're newlyweds.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
You know what?
Right?
I just went and did. I mean, I just went. I kept busy seems like a short change in myself, but there were so many things I did in the city. I mean, the gym I went to, I made friends with the people at the grocery store because I couldn't speak Turkish, and so I would moo and like I literally would make sounds to try. Yes.
Trying to get the right kind of meat.
And
Kid you not.
by
You're
the
like,
end,
how do I explain ribeye?
Exactly. No, I would just be like, and then by the time that I could actually put some words together, and like the whole meat department is applauding. I mean, there were sweet moments, and times that like we had one aisle where they'd sometimes have ketchup and Captain Crunch, and so every other day I would go to see what American food they had, and I was trying to find tomato sauce, tomato sauce, and then trying to explain taking tomatoes and smashing them, and then out of just the cloud, someone comes that can speak English and said, "Do you need an interpreter?" Like, well, yes, I do. It was wonderful, but just people are people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so that was super sweet. And Aida and I became very close, and we would travel. I mean, I followed Mark all over to places where I look back and I'm like, I would never want my daughter to make that plane ride and that taxi ride in some.
I mean, it was crazy.
What are
just
we talking
little
about
town. I mean, just like flying into a Turkish town,
like
taking
flying
it
into Antalya, which nobody knows what that is, but like it is not.
And pulling up to a dirt road and being like,
it's something a little more tricky.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and there were games that there were armed guards everywhere, and there were times that it was a ruckus crowd.
Yeah,
they used to. There was one game where they lit pennies on fire, and were flicking them at the team.
I've heard stories like this in
Yeah.
Europe
Jerome
that are just
Allen,
crazy,
I mean,
right?
so when it hits you, it sticks. And when Jerome went up after, because it burned. And when Jerome went up after, and Mark's like, "You go up in that crowd, you might not be coming back."
Malice in the Palace,
yeah,
but the worst kind, right?
Yes.
But we had a great time. I mean, we did. Yeah. It was so fun. Played a lot of chess.
Yeah.
And this sums up Mark and I. We read all the church history. Mark read church history, all 7 real volumes.
Oh, you're talking like Roberts.
History of the church.
I read Work in the Glory.
Yes. Very nice.
Like, he had to keep reminding me the steeds are not real.
But Leanne kept explaining to me what was happening because I'm reading the church and I'm like, I don't understand what I said. Oh, she's like, I read this part.
Yeah. Tendencies among the Nephites. Yes. For church history. Yes. Make it real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delightful. But it was really charming. It was wonderful. We came back and we were expecting Ella, and we were there for 9 months. We weren't going to leave because they didn't pay us our last check. So we're like, well, we're here until you pay us. And they thought we were joking, and we did not joke. We went to France, we went to Greece, we went to England, and we came back and kept working out.
It was a gift for us.
Yeah.
So, and I actually would wish this on any newlywed couple, because, you know, we're all living such like noisy, busy, frenetic lives, and there's so many interchanging parts. And with the person that my only person in this whole world, for us to start out our marriage, we got to go live 6 months in essential isolation in a really real way. And it was just
and we had a lot of visitors. My girlfriends came over. His parents, Mark's parents came over. My mom came over.
Yeah, it was a tour. She could take you anywhere in Istanbul.
That's awesome.
Take the whole deal. Like,
I could take you to the Grand
Bazaar. Grocery store.
She'd take you to the Grand Bazaar. She had her leather guy. She would deal with it.
Yes.
She had her carpet guy. Like
it was so
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
It was so fun. It was really fun. The Blue
Istanbul.
Mosque. Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was grad school. It was a mission
awesome.
experience. It was all these things. That's
it was
crazy.
Awesome.
Okay, so you come back.
Yes. And this is always stressful. I mean, making teams, you know, trying out for, I mean, when Mark was trying for these teams.
You saying you didn't have faith in me? You had no
I had so much.
You didn't think I was going to make it?
When you're sitting in Istanbul, are you thinking about the NBA?
Yeah.
We had this one moment, I kid you not, where
it's a sweet moment.
we're late in the season, and, you know, it just is a different experience, and it's much different in Europe now than it was then.
Yes, much different now than it was then.
And so we're in warm-ups for a game, and it's a big game. It's kind of towards the end of the league season, and I've never had this ever. I've never done this ever in my life, but I just walked. 10 minutes left. Everyone's going through warm-ups. I just walked off the court, and I just walked over to Leanne. She's sitting there in the front row, and I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing with our lives? Like, I mean, so it wasn't all just bliss, and it was just, there were times when you're just like, this, like, what are we doing? And I just remember feeling like, there's hard moments too, but overall it was unbelievable.
Yeah. And when we went to Turkey, we thought maybe the rest of our career would be overseas.
Yep.
Totally down. Found an American doctor. Yep. Deliver our baby, and like, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah,
so you're thinking maybe this is...
Yeah, we did. I mean, we were very much in the moment. We were very much like, this is where we are now.
Yes.
We may be back next year. I mean, so many of my dad's players had long careers overseas, because you kind of picture what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you weren't unfamiliar with the possibility.
Yeah, at all. And I wasn't afraid of it. I was super hyped.
And you weren't afraid of it.
No, they were having babies over there before they have babies over here. Like, it didn't freak me out.
Although it started here, then it went there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, there's great people everywhere, and there's wonderful things about living everywhere. We've moved so many times, and and I was excited for us to be over there and have that experience. I mean, when do you get to do that? I mean, we refer back to it so many times, and we were there for 6 months. You'd think it was 6 years.
What a formative time. Okay, so then you come back. Do you get an NBA gig again, right?
He was played on the summer league team, and then hopped around, and we ended up with the Bucks.
Yep.
That was...
And Larry was
two
right.
unbelievable years with the Bucks, man. Just so fun. Like, such a great team, playing great at the time, great players on the team.
It was a great group of wives, too.
The wives were unbelievable. Like, they were so great to Leanne.
When you try out for an NBA team, at least our experience, there's never like this moment where like you made it. You just don't get fired.
That's right.
So there was one moment where I fly in from Indianapolis. Mark's been there for weeks at a time. And he's like, hey, they might fire us. So let me take you to the practice facility and show you around.
Literally, that's what we do. Like, hey, this might be the last day, so let me go
show
check
you.
out the joint before they say la vie.
We're at the practice facility. I'm pregnant with Ella. I mean, we're just, months away from having our first child, and he's showing me all around. And as we're walking out, Coach Carl said, well, it looks like the Popes have found a new home. And we were like,
he kind of yelled it from across the court.
The
gym's dark, and we're in there walking around the practice, and Coach just walks around the other end, and he just sees us, and he just kind of keeps walking, and he yells at.
Mark and I do not say a word, and we're just like, yeah. So then we're walking out to our car, and I'm like, what did that mean? He's like, I have no idea. I'm like, does that mean you made the team? He's like, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm supposed to be on the plane at 4:30, and we haven't gotten fired yet. So we get in the car, he gets on the plane, he calls, and he's like, we're taking off. So we're like, I think we made the deadline. Like, I think we made the team.
Like, you're going to play a game?
A preseason game. Yeah,
so
yeah.
They have to finalize the roster. They never tell you they finalized the roster. So it's kind of like, I might show up at the plane, and they'd be like, why are you here? Like, you just don't know. You just don't know.
You just don't get fired.
Until they fire you.
Like, it's not welcome to the team.
You're on the team. They just tell you you're off the team.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
And actually, so we were there for 2 years, which was so fun. Ella was born there.
Great.
The ward was great. The team was great. We loved Milwaukee.
Ward ever. I mean, man, we had a magical ward there.
Every ward was like that.
Leanne, she didn't say, so we've been in Indianapolis. We get fired. We go to lacrosse. We go overseas. We still have our place in the MLS. So we come back there in the summer as we're working out trying to find a team.
Yes. And Mark would work out in the morning at 6 a.m., come home, study for one summer it was the LSAT. The next summer it was the GMAT. The next summer it was the MCAT.
Yeah.
He did all three.
He would come home and
study.
Cover
your bases, man. You got to cover your bases.
Study. Then he would go for a second workout, come home, study, and then there was a third workout.
So Lee is so I'm in Milwaukee, and I'm like, hey, you should come. Like, we're in. Like, so she come visit. We're in. Da-da. So she races back to Indianapolis, and so we have a big F-150. So here she is, 7 months pregnant. Loads up everything in our truck.
Me and my mom.
In the back of the truck. All our possessions in the back of the truck with her mom. And
my mom reminds Mark of this often.
Oh, so magic.
Because it started to rain. And you're like, just throw a tarp over it. She's like, just throw a tarp over it. It was so great. I mean,
and it got all soaked?
Yeah, it was fine. We threw a tarp over it. It was fine.
It's
totally chill. Totally chill. Yeah. So then 2 years in Milwaukee, and then actually making the New York Knicks. So that was our next stop. That actually telling them that about the process of making that team. I mean, just so every day someone got cut on the way to it.
Yeah.
That
I mean, the whole journey. Yeah. So they had, they bring at the time they'd bring 27, 28 guys in a training camp, official training camp, and then you have to whittle it down to 13 or 14 or 12, whatever they decide to keep. And so we were all staying in New York. We were all in White Plains, and where the practice facilities, and they all had us staying. All the guys that were unsigned, they were trying to make the team. They had us all stay at the same kind of apartment complex, and then they would send town cars and drive us over to practice in the morning, drive us back, drive us over to practice in the afternoon. And so
all the guys have breakfast. They get in a car and they're driving to the practice facility.
It'd be like it'd just be all the cars chasing each other with 6 guys in a deal, like a van or whatever. And so we started to realize that every 2 or 3 days it would come over the intercom, like the CB, whatever. You'd come over, you hear them say, "Hey, when you drop the guys off, just stay for a minute." And when that came, you knew that someone was getting the axe that day. So
because they needed to ride back to the hotel
guys,
and get
you
their
become
stuff.
friends, but you're fighting. It's like Survivor Island, right? You just who's gonna make it? Who's gonna be the last guy in the car? And you'd hear that every couple of days, and it was just terrifying. And then you walk in, and it was
Squid Game.
Somebody's walking out early, and so then it just came down. It just came down to where there was just 2 of us. It was me and Toby Bailey. The last 2 days we're driving we're the only ones left.
Oh.
And so
and there's 2 spots. You guys think you've made it?
We both made it.
That's
and so we talk about going to the plane. So it's the last day, like it's our last practice, and I think we're flying out that afternoon for game number 1, right? And so we're like so happy, so great. Nothing goes to intercom. Like we're hyped out of our minds. Like this is like striking the jackpot,
it's so
right?
grueling. The stress was so grueling.
So I walk in, and my habit was to get on the court as soon as I could because they would never fire you if you're on the court. They'd wait till you come off or get you before you went off.
So Mark would be the first one off,
Extra
the last one off.
100%,
no,
yeah, I'd be on there for hours.
It worked out well for us.
So I go out there, and I'm just shooting around, and then like half an hour's gone by, and it's 20 minutes before practice, and all of a sudden I'm like, where is Toby? And sure enough, like I didn't see him again for another 2 years.
Oh no.
He was gone. It was the day. It was the last day. We're getting on the plane that day and just gone. It's just a brutal process.
So so you're taking all these postgraduate opportunity tests.
Yeah.
In hopes of what? What are you thinking at this point? You're still in the NBA, but you're doing this. Hardly any NBA guys have ever done that.
It was just stress therapy because we knew at any moment it could be over. So we just got it. It was almost just like a stress reliever to be like, okay.
Is that what that was?
It was a stress reliever? We have something. We have a backup plan for when
truth.
This goes bad.
I
mean,
to this day, all I do with my whole life, I'm just trying to press Leanne. Like, is there some way that I can just reinforce the fact that she made a reasonably decent decision to marry me?
Even 20 years later.
So even that time, like, if I get fired again, I mean, she's already had an unemployed husband like 4 times. I have to have a backup plan.
But the minute we got married, Mark, we started talking about like this ends, basketball ends. What are we gonna do? We looked into Subway franchises. We looked into all sorts of
We were totally down the road with Subway. Totally. I kid you. This is a true story. So
Wait, who's the guy that was so famous that they love so much? Jared.
Well, Jared went to prison.
Yes,
yeah,
Jared went to prison, but this was
pre-prison
2000,
Jared.
2001.
Let's specify.
So pre-prison Jared Subway times. Okay, so we've actually gone way down. We've done all the finances. We've done the application. We're meeting with owners. So we meet with truth.
You want to own a Subway?
Well, we're thinking about franchise out and kind of do the deal.
Okay.
And we're thinking about we're gonna be in Subway actually making sandwiches, which I would crush.
That you would be making the sandwiches?
That's how you run a successful business.
The ward's gonna work there. We're gonna employ all of our young men and young women in Milwaukee.
Here's the thing.
I had a whole vision of how great it was gonna be.
Like we were so hyped. Okay.
It'll be Happy Days, but it's Subway.
Yes, we were so hyped, and this is a honest, true story. Okay, so we met with the first owner. Like, okay, this is what we go meet with. I think we had to meet with 3 different franchise owners.
Yeah, it
so
was a tedious process.
We meet with the third one. They're so hyped about they have a Subway, annual Subway getaway. Last year it was in Hawaii, and Jared actually came, and they frenzied. And we're like, all right, let's go. And then Leanne had a whole slew of questions, and she finally got to the question.
So we actually went to a business, and we shadowed for just a little bit of time. somebody who ran the business.
And so then Leanna's like, okay, so tell me about the uniforms at Subway. So at the time they had this like brown and yellow thing going on. And she's like, we can design our own franchise Subway uniforms, right? And the owner was like, no. You have to like toe the line. And that was when I saw the light go out of Leanne's eyes. And she's like, I am not wearing those brown and yellow aprons. I'm not doing it.
I'm laughing because I was kind of like,
the dream was
really?
gone forever.
We have no flexibility? No, this is a standard uniform. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work for us.
No, that's so funny. Okay, so Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
But you've got this you don't know what you're going to do?
No, right. And we really, Mark's extremely freakishly intelligent.
No,
so,
well, that's
debatable. He was a Rhodes Scholar candidate. I mean, he can whatever.
Rhodes Scholar? I didn't know that. That's big time.
At Kentucky.
Yeah,
yes.
That's big time.
Extremely smart. And so the idea was like, when we're done with basketball, Mark has this thing. He says to the boys, don't let basketball use you. You use basketball. And so I think the idea was we were going to use this basketball platform and do something great with our next career. It was not like if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And so Mark really, and we joke about it, but he was kind of like, maybe I'll go into law. So then for like that summer, it was like he was studying for the LSAT. And then we're like, maybe we go into business and open. You couldn't Krispy. We were excited for the Krispy Kreme.
Oh man,
that
we
too, but we weren't qualified.
Krispy Kreme. Ooh.
Anyway, we looked into all those things.
But the uniforms.
Yeah.
Well, Krispy Kreme uniforms are fire. Okay, the color scheme is
there was a 4-hour
unbelievable.
wait in Milwaukee for the Krispy Kreme.
The problem with Krispy Kreme is you had to previously be a franchise owner, so we would have to wear the yellow and brown for like 2 years before we could qualify to open a Krispy Kreme.
Anyway, we settled in while we were in Milwaukee on medical school. We kind of had a list of what we wanted that career to be, the second career, and really a sincere list of what we wanted it to be, and we settled on med school. And then he started taking classes. He had almost his master's in English from Kentucky,
which is
ironic.
While you were there,
master's
after?
Yeah.
No, while he was there.
No, because I had a redshirt year, so I was
very.
So you almost got a master's from Kentucky?
Yeah,
but
enough credit.
I mean, come on, what does that mean?
He always jokes about English. An English degree from Kentucky is kind of ironic.
And that is not a slam on Kentucky. Kentucky is one of my favorite places in the world.
So he starts taking, but he didn't have any of the sciences. So he started taking the science classes at Marquette while we were
There was no way Coach P was going to let me go sit in a lab that Mike and Flick would practice. That was never happening. So we had to do that after.
So that's where the prep for medical school started, was our second year at Milwaukee. We had Ella, and then we went to New York, and we had Avery in New York. We had one of our daughters was born all along the way. And he was at NYU and Columbia. Thank goodness for these professors that were willing to work with his schedule.
While you're with the Knicks?
He's with the Knicks and with the Milwaukee Bucks and studying for chem, anatomy, whatever, on the plane the whole time. And they would let him, cluster his labs, and there were all sorts of accommodations they made, which was so kind because they don't have to do that. Yep. And then we were 1 year with the Knicks, and then we ended up in Denver, and he was at University of Colorado. And again, always taking classes during the summer and during the season.
Wait, so let's list all the places you've taken classes.
Yeah.
In Washington,
Kentucky, NYU, Columbia, Marquette,
Colorado.
Did I forget anybody?
I feel like we forgot somebody, but maybe not.
I think that's it.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Which was a talking point when he was interviewing at medical school. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it was like I was
pursued knowledge.
It was like I was, on the lam, trying to stay ahead of it.
Okay, so once you decide, yes, we want to do med school, is NYU as well?
Yeah.
Is that med school too? Do they have a med school, or is that different classes?
No, he was just taking all these classes. Like he could take some classes at Columbia that they didn't offer, so he doubled up at NYU while we were there. So he was enrolled in both universities while we were with the Knicks.
So when are you in medical school? Once you finish with the NBA? Now
I got fired by Denver. George Karl fired me again. He had already fired me once. He fired me again. Like literally, that's a true story.
You said we had a home.
Yeah. And then we had already finished all our medical school stuff. We'd already been accepted, and so we just packed up and
actually a really great story. So when Mark taking the MCAT, all of his team, he's still playing for the Nuggets, and they all knew he was taking this test, right? And the point, you were there with Carmelo's freshman year. Rookie year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the third season. And Mark is taking this MCAT, and they are like hyped. And this is a competitive
The guys
crowd.
understood it was a big deal.
Yeah,
Like,
and so we're taking this MCAT to decide where we're going to get in med school. So the day that Mark goes in, I mean, I wasn't there. I just remember the call from the locker room. So Mark walks in. You should tell it.
Well, no, it's
just he walks in, and they're like, so how'd we do? And Mark's just
They're
like,
all in.
and
How'd
Mark,
we do? Exactly.
Mark crushed the MCAT. He crushed it, and they celebrated like they had. They were all going to medical school.
It was actually
brilliant.
really special.
It was so
awesome.
fun. It was really awesome.
fun.
And then we got cut, and then we were the happiest retired NBA couple family. We went and cleaned out his locker, and we started the interview process for med school that third season.
Yep.
And we decided we were going to stay in Colorado, except for any of the top 10 schools he got into. And he interviewed with a bunch of them, but he got into both Yale and Columbia and CU. So that's how we'd kind of said, hey, we're staying here. We loved Denver. We loved it, except for those top 10 programs. And then, he interviewed at Harvard and Mayo and everywhere, and we got into Columbia and Yale. And then we just went and we decided to go back to New York. We wanted to go back.
You're completely happy with New York because you had been there. You had lived there. We had been there. We had been there together as a couple. Plus, Mark lived there as a child. And we ultimately, when we kind of went and visited and checked out how, we just like, gosh, we just love to go
be
back.
Yeah.
Live in the city. Come on.
And we actually went there, Jarom, thinking we'd be there forever. When we bought a home in Scarsdale, we thought.
You bought a home.
Yes, we bought a home.
Okay.
He's going to go to med school. We'll get residency somewhere in the Tri-Borough area. And then this is where we'll raise our family. We're never leaving. That was the thought. We redid a house, right?
Yep.
We were ready.
Yes, we did.
We had we had just had our third child in Denver and moved out there. And then we start down the path, and medical school was great. And after that first March, because I didn't know if it was just March Madness, but Mark's like, I don't know if I want to do this for the next 20 years.
40 years.
Was that a shock to you?
No. We were really, really lucky. And I say that we had this first life, that we got to make choices with our second life, right? The
first
second
life
career.
Being the basketball playing career.
And we were smart with the money, and so we got to make choices that I will forever be grateful that we got to choose to do that, and also make the choice to get out. When I say get out, but make a change that fit us.
That's a huge change.
It's a huge, and normally you start down that path, which is totally understandable, and you're like, this is what we're doing, and we are invested, and we got to get ourselves out of, you know what I mean? Like, you're invested, it's expensive, all those things. So super grateful that we were in a position that we could make choices. And so, no, it didn't freak me out. It took us 2 more years to get the guts and to talk it through. And
so how long were you in med school?
We were just starting our 4th year.
How long were you going to be?
Med school was 4 years, but then residency and everything, fellowship and everything that follows. It would have been a 10-year journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
What went into that decision? Because that's a big moment.
Yeah, it was the hardest decision Lee and I have ever made together. Yes.
Yeah.
Were you uncomfortable making that decision?
Yes.
Why?
I think Mark was more uncomfortable than I was.
Well, I think I think we had, for the first time in our life, like, our life was mapped out. Like, our life had been so unpredictable. We knew that was what we were, something unpredictable. And
our basketball life.
Yeah, our basketball life. And so now we were in a mapped out life. We had a plan. We knew what we'd be doing 50 years from now. And then we were going to leave playing and go to even more unpredictable life of coaching, which is less stable. And we were going to kind of start from the ground floor and a million other ends, right? And so it was, like, there was something, this profession of medicine, there's some really, really special, noble things about it. And just being sure that we were going to walk away from that wasn't easy either. So there's a lot.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I had spent my whole life in basketball, right? And so, and we had an opportunity to go do something different and really kind of have a different type of, like, our little tiny impact on the world. We had a opportunity to do it a different way, and I think there was some real meaning in that. I did, like, we've been so incredibly blessed in our life, but it's been wildly unpredictable, and we just had bounced around everywhere. And so signing up for that again was daunting also. Like, we did it with eyes wide open, I think.
Yeah. The night before we were packing up to move to New York. And do you remember you said to me, are we just throwing basketball out the window?
Yeah.
And I mean, literally, we made this decision, we're moving, but he's just like, are we just throwing away a lifetime? I mean, of course, Mark, his whole life had been dedicated to being excellent in basketball. And then I thought of it as Mark, we were going to get to develop a whole other side of ourselves because Mark was blessed with a great mind. And I thought we get to serve and do this in a whole different way. And ironically, not really ironically, but the list of why we wanted to go to med school and the list of why we wanted to coach, there's actually a huge overlap of what we wanted to do with our lives in helping people or, what, and they're very, very similar, very different professions. But I think if you do coaching the way that we're trying to, that it's about the boys and about them and about that relationship, it's pretty meaningful. And so it's funny that we have this list when we were in the NBA of like, this is what we want this phase 2 to be. And then that list, I guess, ends up being phase 3, right? Yeah. It's pretty similar.
And we struggled with this for a long time. We probably, we had deep, long, intense pillow talk conversations, in the car conversations, at the temple conversations for a good month. Trying to figure it out. And then as things happen
when you say month, it was 2 years.
Well, yeah, but you're saying when like the opportunity, the Georgia opportunity,
yes.
And then
were you offered something at that point?
Yeah, so
by Mark Fox.
Yep,
at
that's
Georgia?
right. So there was actually something on the table. We go do it, and
so now it's real.
Yeah,
yes.
It's really real.
We can do this or not.
Year 1, we talked about it. Year 2, we had some opportunities that it felt like we're not leaving Columbia Med to go do that.
Yeah.
And then year 3, it was like, we're pretty sure this is what we want to do and what's right for us. And then we had this opportunity that was looming that was like, hey, if I'm going to take this job, would you guys want to come? We already had talked to Coach Fox about coming to Nevada at the time. I mean, the year 2. And
then he goes to Georgia?
Then he takes the job at Georgia, and then it got real fast.
Yep.
And that decision was like, yeah, that was and my dad had hired and fired it. And I was very well aware of what this career path is and what it isn't, and stability is not it, right? You
were okay with it.
Yes, 100%.
Why?
Because it's what we wanted to do. And because
Leanne's not scared of anything.
I'm not scared. With him,
Is
I'm not
it
scared.
because you moved a ton as a kid
I'm
and were
sure.
you were like, I can go to Turkey.
Yes.
I can go to La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Yes.
So your upbringing influences this moment.
Yes. And also, I think another part, too, is living in New York as a single person and just navigating that life. I can't imagine going from maybe Utah to Turkey. New York City to Istanbul, like that cab driver, you know what I mean? There were things that happened. And I was like, oh, no. Stop the cab. I mean, you just.
If you can do it in New York, you can do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, that's true. True. So I think there's confidence that comes with that. And I'm not afraid. And I'm not afraid with him. Like I've said it before, like I'd follow him to the moon. But together, I have zero fear. I also feel like that's a gospel principle.
Yeah.
This gospel should make you feel fearless. Because you have these principles and these soft places to land. I mean, it's not scary to move when you know there's a ward waiting for you.
There's a built-in system
of
people
and you have a basketball family.
Like-minded.
Yes,
right?
And I've said that many times, but it's the truth. And so it didn't scare me. And I believe in Mark. I mean, whatever he wants and what we want to do together, we'll do it.
Leanne is so courageous and brave, and she got so much belief. So she believes in herself. She believes in me. She believes in us. It has been it's been a foundational, and it is all dialed exactly into the gospel where her belief comes in from her life experience. But you think about the gifts that she's given to me and to our family, her belief is just like unfaltering. And so then, and I'm just full of fear. And so it's just like, well, if Lee thinks we can do it, I guess we can do it. Let's go. And her girls are like that too. Our daughters are like that too. She's built that into them, and it's a gift, man. I don't think Heavenly Father put us on this planet to walk around being afraid.
No.
I think Heavenly Father understands we're going to be afraid, but this atonement and this gospel plan should give us courage beyond belief.
The gospel is the rock we stand on, not the umbrella we hide under. It's like, go. Do something fabulous. Go. And he's going to be there, and you're going to have people all along the way helping you. I get asked that. In fact, there's been a couple of public moments where someone's like, can you believe she let him go first of all, neither one of us lets anyone, I mean, whatever. But I don't know how to explain it other than I wasn't afraid. The decision was
leave med school.
No, I wasn't. And I was excited. And he has not had a millisecond of regret, wonder, maybe coulda, woulda, shoulda. We did that path. In some ways, I think we walked down that medical school path so that we were sure this is what we wanted to do. Yeah. And there have been times that when things have gone, I don't know, I'll have asked him, do you ever wish you were wearing a white jacket right now and about to go into surgery? No.
It's and I actually really believe in this. This is super important. So to say that Lee doesn't have fear in her life, that's actually not true. She just, because we have concerns and worries, and there was a lot of our life has been uncertainty, but she just refuses to let the uncertainty and the worry slow down the process of trying to grow. I think she's given me unbelievable confidence, and we have unbelievable confidence that no matter what happens, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We can figure it out. With the gospel as a foundation and with each other, we can figure it out. We'll figure it out. Things go great, things go bad, we'll go figure it out. And that is a beautiful thing. That's one of the great things about this marriage that is awesome.
And it's one of the things, Jarom, when we started this, the coaching thing, one of the questions, we looked at this list, and I was like, okay, so this list works at a high school level, at a junior college level, at an NBA level, and at a college level. And if we can do this for these reasons, it works and it applies to
the list of why to do it?
Why we're doing it. It applies if we were coaching at a high school or small town. And so we did this and then took that step. And that was important to me too. This isn't just about, at a certain level. I mean, yep, that's right. We've gone the college route, but.
So you bounced from med school. By the way, what were you going to do with your?
Don't know. I think originally we thought orthopedic surgery. I think as we went in, maybe we're farther along, maybe we're thinking emergency medicine.
I would have said he was going to be an ER. Yeah. That's what that was great.
I could see ER with you.
There's so many great medical
stories.
He was so great with children. I mean, to be a father, and there were just so many. The pediatric emergency medicine loved Mark. That doctor, remember, he was wonderful. Anyway.
Awesome.
So I think we would have been an ER doctor.
That would have been fun. My father-in-law is a pediatrician.
Oh,
and he's perfect. Yeah. It's the best thing in the world to have a father-in-law who's a pediatrician.
Yes.
Hey, what do we do for this?
Do I need to worry about this? Are we okay?
Yeah, seriously. And one time, his name's Rob Kraft, not the owner of the Patriots, but he's so awesome. But the only time he said something where I was like, "What, Rob?" He didn't mean it this way. Our baby, Ven is a couple months old or something, or weeks. I can't remember. Yeah. But I was like, oh, it looks like she can see me. And he goes, well, actually, she can't. She can only see in black and white. And, and I was like, I just need to think that she can see me, Rob. I just gave him a hard time. I love him. He's so great. Okay, so for those who don't know, it's not like you took a head coaching job. It's not like you took even an assistant coaching job. You took a director of basketball operations.
Nope.
No, not even that. Not even that.
Oh,
I was
the
assistant to the director of operations.
I thought it was the
director
of
even players operation is what the title gave, but he was the assistant to the DPO.
So you go from good money eventually to, less, let's say, at this point.
$24,000 a year.
Are you serious?
Yep. It's
That's
a high
the beginning of the journey.
Gig, baby. Let's go.
You're going to Mount Doom with the ring, Frodo, and it's a big climb, right? What was it like to take that step and know, okay, Leanne, you've been through it with your dad, but this is your passion. This is something you want to get into, but you're at the bottom, man.
Yeah, we're at the bottom, and so and the decision was hard, and we were well aware of what we were walking away from. I think that was probably the hardest thing. Is like, are we really going to walk away from this? I mean, we're at Columbia, right? And we're I've told the story 100 times. But I went and told Dean Melman, who was the dean of the students at Columbia Med School at PNS, and that was she was just like, "You've lost your mind! Like, what? Are you serious?"
Hard it is to get in here, do you know?
But we went through the whole process, went down there, got on the court the first time, and yes, we have a bad job in a program that had struggled with a brand new head coach in a profession we've never been in, with no promise of ever getting another job ever. And somehow, and going to a place we've never lived with people we've never lived, leaving the, something that was established and the greatest city in the world. And the first time I stepped on the court, I actually drove all night, got there, was there for an elite camp, got on the court, just working a camp, and it was just like, none of that matters. Like, this is what we were born to do. We felt that way every single day since, I think.
Yeah, and we loved Coach Fox. I mean, I think we're really blessed to have taken that step and having him at the helm.
Yep.
Just because he cared about us, and he hoped good things for us.
Yep.
You still like him. You've played his team the last 2 years in a secret scrimmage preseason. You still have a relationship.
I love him so much. And you think my first job, like, I wasn't allowed to coach. I wasn't allowed to be on the floor. I wasn't allowed to, like, do scouts. I wasn't allowed to have.
What are you doing? Booking hotels?
I'm racing the gym at 1 o'clock and making sure the laundry's done and booking hotels and
making sure the guys got to class.
Working the clock.
That was a full-time job.
Yeah, taking guys to class.
Seriously.
And doing academics. And so we were so far away from actually being able to do what we thought we were hoping to do someday. And Coach was so great because he just doubled down on that. Sometimes you want to lean into like, all right, I'm going to let this guy feel some of the coaching side of it. But he was the exact opposite. He's like, nope. First of all, the rules won't allow you to do any coaching. Second of all, I'm not going to let you do any coaching. And he said this to me, and he had a really clear vision, better than we did. He was like, you're going to be a head coach someday. You're going to have a chance to run a program. It's probably going to happen pretty fast. And the only way you're going to be good at that job is if you know every little job that's being done in your organization, and you can actually do it better than anybody you hire. And so he was celebrating the fact that I wasn't allowed to do anything that at the time I thought was meaningful, that I just had to do all the grunt work. And he relished the opportunity to keep me really humble. I'll be grateful to him for that forever.
And he's been a wonderful mentor.
Oh, my gosh. Great.
Like, we've called him in moments of like, do we turn left or right? What do you
Yes.
think? And he's like, well, let's talk about it.
Interesting.
I mean, he's very special to both of us.
Yep.
How quickly do you get to Wake Forest?
1 year.
The next year.
The next year.
Yep.
And you're what at Wake?
Assistant coach.
You get an assistant. So you skip the Dobo.
Yeah.
You go from assistant Dobo to assistant coach.
Yeah, and Jeff Bezdelek had coached us with the Nuggets, and he got fired, went to college. Then he was at Air Force. Then he in Colorado, takes the job at Wake Forest and calls us. And so then we are now the assistant to our former head coach with the Nuggets.
And
And now you're suddenly in the ACC.
And we're in the ACC.
That's pretty fun.
SEC to ACC is great.
Yeah, the SEC was fun too because Mark was so beloved. It was actually super fun that year to travel to Kentucky and travel to all those stomping grounds that he'd
Is it
played.
1 year at Wake?
Yep.
1 year at Wake.
Is Chase Fisher there, or
We recruited Chase.
Yeah.
You recruited Chase, and then you left?
Again, we
This
got BYU.
wild kid from West Virginia.
Yeah, stud. Love him. Love him.
He's one of my favorites ever. Then what's the next move? Remind me. Is it BYU right then?
Yeah.
My saga with Chase Fisher is so fantastic because I'm in the room. So it was at the arena at Wake. We came in the summer on a kind of unofficial visit, but we pitched him hard. So we take him around the arena, take him in the locker room, lights dim, the whole thing. We're all sitting in a circle with the coaching staff, and Coach gives him the hard sell. He's like, I want you to come, and I want you to commit right now. It was a moment, like one of those moments that would be made for a movie. And Chase was like, I'm in. Like, I'm coming. So we committed right there, right? Then is a great moment, a made-for-motion picture moment. Then I leave, and then we're reunited eventually at BYU for some of his playing days. He transfers and get to coach him as an assistant coach. And then I leave, and my last basketball interaction with Chase Fisher is I've now moved to Utah Valley. We're playing at BYU our first game, and he bangs a three and turns to me and had some real words
I know
for
what
me.
he said, Mark. I was sitting right there, and it was so funny.
So it was like the perfect bookends of like a great basketball experience that we got to share. I love it. I'll love him forever.
He said something to the effect of "take that" and then another word,
Way more colorful.
Which
yes.
I laughed
It
so
was
hard,
so
and I
great.
said they love each other.
Oh,
like that moment wasn't.
It was really special.
I hate you. It was I love you.
After the game, his sweet parents were so great. We're like, I felt like I wanted to defend. Like, no, that was love.
It's the best part of coaching.
It
Like
is.
just that Leanne and I get to witness and shepherd these great young men through this journey of their lives. And that's a great example, right? Where we got to touch bases with him in 3 totally different capacities through the course of his career. And it is the best part. We're really blessed to be able to
And
do
those
this.
moments laced with some really tender moments. It's like, it's
Yep.
pretty awesome.
So you have the 1 year at Georgia, the 1 year at Wake. You come to BYU as an assistant.
Yep.
And then you're here for 4.
Yep.
That's where I get to meet you. I'm like, oh, the Mormon dude from the Kentucky teams.
There we go. Let's go.
I watched you growing up. I was like, oh, that's cool. So then we interact, and BYU's recruiting Jabari Parker, and we talk a lot during that time, and it was awesome. I shaved my head. We take a photo. I called it the Bald Brethren. So I said, if BYU won at number 3 Gonzaga, I'll shave my head. That's how hard I thought it was, right? To
That's
win.
right.
Yeah.
And that ended up being a really fun moment in the history of the show. It took me 10 weeks to get it back. But that was so fun. Okay, well, we just barely got to BYU assistant coach spot in your journey here. I haven't talked to you about this. We'll do part 3 another day. Is that okay? Like, I'm so fascinated with what you've done here. Even if it's not okay, just nod your head. But yes, and Mark, I appreciate you taking time in season. Leanne, I know you're super busy as well with 4 daughters. I ran into Avery at a local restaurant.
She
good
loved
to talk
it.
to her.
So
super
great.
fun.
You were so great.
She's so fun. She's on the tennis team, like you talked about.
Yes.
So everyone's doing good. Ella's at Ohio, and everyone's crushing it.
Yeah.
So okay, awesome. Thank you. Part 2 in the books.
Let's go.
This is like a Harry Potter. We're just gonna keep stacking them up. The Deep Blue Podcast with the Popes. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, that'll do it for us. Listen to previous episodes on the BYU Radio app or where podcasts are found. For Mark and Leanne Pope and my guy, Josh Cloward, I'm Jarom Jordan. You've just listened to Deep Blue on BYU Radio.